That's a football stadium. The drop on the other side goes straight into the Atlantic Ocean. Actual international matches are played there, and it is nowhere near the strangest stadium on this list. The Torsfjellur Stadium sits in Tórshavn, the capital of the Faroe Islands, an archipelago of 18 islands in the North Atlantic, halfway between Norway and Iceland. The population of the entire island chain is around 50,000 people. Their national football team plays competitive UEFA matches here, in a stadium where the wind comes off the ocean so consistently that home players grow up learning to use it. Visiting teams rarely do. Henningsvær is a fishing village in northern Norway, above the Arctic Circle. It has around 500 residents, a handful of cod drying racks, and a football pitch that sits on a small island surrounded entirely by water. The pitch itself is regulation size. The surroundings are not regulation anything. Players who mishit a shot don't retrieve the ball from behind the goal. They watch it go into the sea. From above, the stadium looks like something placed there by accident, a perfectly maintained green rectangle in the middle of gray water and gray rock. It's used by the local club IL Express, who compete in the lower Norwegian divisions. Attending an away match there requires a ferry. Attending a home match there also, in some cases, requires a ferry. The club considers this normal. La Paz, Bolivia sits at 3,600 meters above sea level. The Estadio Hernando Siles, where the Bolivian national team plays, is at roughly the same altitude. At that height, the air contains about 68% of the oxygen available at sea level. For players who train and live at altitude, this is normal. For visiting teams who fly in from sea level, it is not. FIFA has at various points attempted to ban international matches at stadiums above 2,500 meters. Bolivia, and several other South American nations, fought the ban successfully. The altitude remains. The data on home advantage at altitude is significant. Bolivia's record at the Hernando Siles against top South American opposition is considerably better than their record anywhere else. Argentina, Brazil, and other traditional powers have all lost there in ways that don't fully reflect the quality gap between the teams. The stadium doesn't move, the oxygen levels don't change, and Bolivia has no intention of playing somewhere more convenient. In Curitiba, Brazil, there is a stadium where the forest didn't get cleared to make way for the building. The building went around the forest. The Estadio Junguito Malucelli was designed with the existing trees incorporated into the structure. Fans sit among the canopy, branches grow through gaps in the stands, and the overall effect is of a football ground that the jungle agreed to host rather than one that was imposed on it. It holds around 2,000 people. It is, by a significant margin, the most unusual stadium in South America. The decision to build around the trees rather than remove them was partly environmental and partly practical. Brazilian environmental law made clearing the forest difficult. What started as a constraint became the defining feature. The club, Atlético Paranaense's reserve team, plays in a stadium that most top-flight venues in the world cannot replicate regardless of budget. The trees were there first. The stadium understood that. Carrara is a small city on the Tuscan coast of Italy, famous for one thing: marble. The mountains surrounding the city have been quarried for white marble since Roman times. Michelangelo sourced the stone for his sculptures there. The local football stadium sits directly below those quarry faces, which means that matches are played against a backdrop of white marble cliffs that drop straight down from the Apuan Alps. It looks like a painting. It is, in fact, just where the stadium ended up. The quarries operate year-round. During matches, the sound of machinery sometimes carries down from the mountains. The marble dust occasionally drifts. The players have never commented on this publicly, which suggests they find it entirely unremarkable. When you grow up in Carrara, white mountain faces and football are simply things that exist in the same place. The Stade Armand Cesari in Corsica sits so close to the Mediterranean that the sea is visible from almost every seat. SC Bastia, the local club, has played there for decades, and the ground has a reputation for atmosphere that goes well beyond its modest capacity. In 1992, a temporary stand collapsed during a match, killing 18 people. The stadium was rebuilt and continues to host matches. The sea is still there, as close as it always was. Trabzonspor's stadium in northeastern Turkey sits between the Black Sea and steep mountain slopes. There was simply no flat land available, so the stadium was built where the land met the water. The sea view from the upper tiers is unobstructed and dramatic, particularly in winter when storms roll in off the Black Sea. Home fans consider the weather part of the atmosphere. Away fans consider it a problem. Both are correct. Gibraltar is a British territory at the southern tip of Spain, covering an area of roughly 6.5 square kilometers. Space is not abundant. The Victoria Stadium, where Gibraltar's national team plays, sits directly next to Gibraltar Airport, so close that aircraft taking off and landing are visible over the stands during matches. UEFA approved Gibraltar for membership in 2013. The proximity to the runway was not considered a disqualifying factor. Off the coast of Sicily, there is a small island called Isola delle Femmine. It has a few hundred residents, a light lighthouse, and a football pitch that is surrounded on all sides by the Mediterranean Sea. The island is accessible only by boat. Away matches involve a degree of logistical commitment that most football clubs never have to consider. The pitch itself is regulation. The commute is not. The highest football stadium in regular use sits at approximately 4,600 meters above sea level in the Tibet Autonomous Region of China. At that altitude, the oxygen level is roughly half of what exists at sea level. Training sessions there are conducted at a pace that would be unrecognizable to players accustomed to normal conditions. The matches happen anyway. The altitude is simply part of the environment, the way the pitch and the goalposts are part of the environment. The Faroe Islands play their qualifying matches in conditions that most football associations would consider unplayable. Wind speeds that would halt play elsewhere are simply Tuesday in Tórshavn. The grass is heated underneath to prevent freezing. The players wear gloves as a matter of routine, not emergency. UEFA has occasionally raised questions about the conditions. The Faroese have continued playing regardless. Most football stadiums exist in roughly the same relationship to their surroundings. They sit in cities, on flat ground, accessible by road and public transport. The ones on this list ended up where they are for reasons that had nothing to do with convenience, geography, history, regulation, stubbornness, and occasionally the simple fact that there was nowhere else available. These are the forces that produce a stadium on a cliff, or in a forest, or next to a runway, or above the clouds. Everything around it is not. These stadiums exist on every continent except Antarctica, though given the pace of things, that may only be a matter of time. They were built by communities that needed somewhere to play and worked with what they had. The cliff was there, the forest was there, the ocean was there, the marble quarry was there. Nobody designed these locations as spectacles. They became spectacles anyway, because football has a way of finding the most unlikely places and making them matter. The Faroe Islands Stadium will host another match this week, or next month, or whenever the next fixture falls. The wind will come in off the Atlantic. The drop on one side will still go straight into the ocean. The players will warm up, play 90 minutes, and go home. Somewhere in Bolivia, the visiting team will arrive at altitude and spend the first 20 minutes trying to breathe normally. In Norway, someone will mishit a cross and watch it sail into the fjord. In Brazil, a referee's whistle will echo through the forest canopy. These are not extraordinary events for the people involved. They are simply where football happens to take place. Football doesn't need a perfect location. It needs a pitch, 2 goals, and enough people who want to play. The rest, apparently, is optional.